Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T. I'm talking with Anthony Lionheart Smith, who is facing Rashad Evans at UFC 225. You are back in Nebraska. You were training in Colorado, is that right, with the Camozzi brothers?
Yeah, I was training in Denver at Factory X with Mark Montoya. I'm sure everyone probably knows him by now from The Ultimate Fighter on Team Miocic. Yeah. So I did about 6 weeks there, and got back real early this morning.
Nice. And so what is it that you find there that you can't get at home in Nebraska?
I've been in a lot of gyms, and I've trained in a lot of places. I've been around a lot of great coaches. Mm-hmm. And so far, Mark Montoya is the best that I've ever been around. Just his passion and the way that he coaches, and just the structure in the gym it's like the culture in the gym is such a weird place. It's the coolest place I've ever been. And the training, I mean, there's probably a team of 40 or 50 just up and coming killers, that nobody even knows about, that push me harder than I've ever been pushed in my whole life. So, plus the altitude helps for sure with my conditioning. So it's just all around, outside of having to be away from my family, that sucks pretty bad. But Denver's close enough that I come back every weekend. So I'm kind of a sissy. I don't do real well without my kids and my family. So nice. I'm back Friday night, and then I'm back there Monday morning.
And how old are your kids?
My oldest is 6, and then I have a 3-year-old, and on June 14th I'll have a 1-year-old.
Oh, wow. Nice. Congratulations on that. Very nice. Very nice. Well, as I was saying before we started rolling, my husband is from Littleton. So I'm in Denver a lot. I'm in that area a lot. And I've got to come by that gym. It's kind of crazy to think that. The thing is, a lot of time when we're there, we're just sort of on vacation or whatever, visiting the family, not necessarily going to work. But, next time I'm definitely going to have to roll through because, like you said, there's a lot of talent there.
For sure. You'll definitely have to stop in. I'm sure Mark would be happy to see you.
That'd be very cool. Well, listen, the reason that we're talking, obviously, is you got a fight coming up with Rashad Evans. And I had tweeted out the other day that, talked to Rashad, and he's talking about the fight with Anthony. And then you tweeted that you were disappointed and frustrated in Rashad. And I kind of wrote you right back, like, what's up? And you said there kind of was more to it than you could explain in a tweet. So I'm curious because, honestly, to be honest with you, Rashad even texted me. He's like, what's up with Anthony? I said, I don't know. I'm going to try to find out. So what is it? What's the source of the frustration? What's the source of the issue with Rashad?
All right, so I got to tiptoe a little bit because I don't want it to sound like I'm coming off like an asshole. Like I like Rashad. I don't know him personally, mm-hmm. but from the beginning, I've been a Rashad fan for a long time. And there's two different points to my frustration and my disappointment. Number one is seeing how everybody talks about Rashad, and if someone says, hey, when's your next fight? And I'll tell them, and then they'll ask who I'm fighting, and I'll say Rashad Evans, and the first thing I hear is, oh my God, you're gonna beat that guy's fucking ass. He shouldn't even be in there. Like, he's washed up, he's old, and it pisses me off so bad, like to the point where my blood boils. Yeah. Number one, it's real easy to say that when you're sitting on your couch. Right. And it's real easy to sit back and really just chastise someone for their struggles. Like, if you look at my record, I've been on 4-fight losing streaks, and I've been on a 3-fight losing streak. I know what Rashad's going through. I know exactly where his head's at for the most part, as far as the struggle and kind of just, when you're in your stride, it's real easy to continue to keep doing that. Mm-hmm. But once you stumble, it's really hard to get your footing again. And I know what that's like. I've done it a couple times. So I get it. But that's not Rashad. What it's doing is essentially, I feel like, and again, I know Rashad's your friend and I respect him, but I feel like I'm going to beat Rashad, like, pretty handedly. I really feel like that. I just feel like I'm in a different place and we're just in different worlds right now. And I think he had his time, and I think it's my turn. But this isn't an easy fight. No. And I think that this is the most dangerous Rashad that we're probably ever going to see. This is a Rashad that has nothing to lose, and he's backed into a corner. That's dangerous. That's I can't even put a word on how dangerous of a person that is to fight. So it drives me crazy that everyone's pretending like this is supposed to be some walk in the park. Right. So then, say I struggle with Rashad and still end up winning, then it's, oh my God, you just struggle with the old guy. Right. And then if I smoke him, then it's, well, he sucked anyways. Right. So now here I am again sitting in this Hector Lombard situation where it's a no-win situation for me. If I smoke him, then I just beat up a bum that I shouldn't have been in there with. And if I struggle, then I just struggled with the old man. And that's not the case. That's not how it is. And that's not the guy that I prepared for. Mm-hmm. On the flip side of that, I grew up like in this game watching Rashad. Like my favorite fighter is Rampage, and it has been.
Well, we're Rampage fans over here.
Right. So like I've Rampage just inspired me my entire career. Just the howl and the face and just the pride fights and the slams and just everything the Rampage is, right? So like when Rashad was fighting Rampage, I remember thinking like someday like I want to be one of those guys, like I want to be mentioned with those people. Mm-hmm. And Rashad's fought John Jones, Forrest Griffin, Thiago Silva. I mean the list goes on,
Tito,
right?
Everybody, yeah.
Legends, right? And then like to see how everyone talks about him and just runs him into the ground, and like this isn't the sugar that I know. Like he's not even sticking up for himself. So now I find myself in interviews having to stick up for him.
Got it.
Like why the fuck am I doing that? Like why? Like where's the Rashad that got into epic trash talking battles with Rampage? And where's the Rashad that got in John Jones shit and stuck up for himself? You know what I mean? Like, and then he does your interview and it's like you can tell he purposely didn't talk about me. Like he didn't even want to, which is fine. Like I don't care if Rashad talks about me. I don't want to get into a trash talking battle with Rashad. Yeah. But like, just saying just some of the stuff that he said, like, my bags are at the door and I see the writing on the wall. Like that's not how this was supposed to go in my head. Like if you told me 5 years ago that someday I'd be fighting Rashad, like this isn't the buildup that I expected it to be. Like this isn't, I want the old Rashad. I don't want the mentally broken one, like that's not the one I want. I want the one that's, he talked about that dog. Like, I hope that he's bringing it, but like, I want the Rashad that I knew that was like, it's going to be nasty. And I don't want the one that's going to skate the edge of the cage the whole time and avoid the damage and try to win. You know what I mean? And not just focus. I don't want him to focus on not losing. I want him to try to take me out. Like, that's the fight I want. That's the one I've been preparing for. And I just hope that that's the one I get. But I'm just disappointed, like this isn't the Rashad that I grew up watching. Mm-hmm. The one that I just can't believe that, I get like you don't want to get into it with fans and people online and that's all bullshit and I get that. But like at some point in time you got to stick up for yourself and at least say fuck you guys, like I'm here and I'm ready and whatever. But he's just kind of like, maybe you're right, like I don't know. Just
I get it. Okay, that kind of clarifies some things to me because I see what you're saying. It's you and the thing about it is Rashad is, over the years since he's been in the game so long, right, he has gotten more cerebral about things. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I see what you're saying. You sort of want to merge the experienced Rashad of the smart guy, but you still want that dog that comes to the fight.
Right, I want it. I want that dark person that he's bringing. And I hope, he said he's bringing it, and he said he's got that dog again, and I hope he does. But, like, I don't know. I just can't believe that I'm in a position where like I've been the one that's had to stick up for him and be like and tell people like, no, he's dangerous. Like the dude is good, and you don't make it this far not being good. You know what I mean? And another point that I've touched on several times already is no one's calling for anybody to retire when they lose to Sam Alvey. Why is that the case with Rashad? Like no one's calling for anyone to retire when they lose to Dan Kelly. Mm-hmm. Like, why is it Rashad? And Glover Teixeira's knocked out half the 205 division.
Thank you.
Like, so what? You got caught. You got clipped. And he was doing well in that fight. Like, I've watched every Rashad fight that's out there. Like, he's like I said, he's slowing down a little bit, but he's fucking 38 years old. Like, give him a break.
But I know because I see the guy a lot, right? I know the dude is in ridiculous shape. I know how hard he trains. I know every time, even when he comes to the Fox desk, he either just came from training or is going, he's lining up some stuff. It's not that he doesn't work hard. And I get what you're saying, but at the same time, shouldn't some of that frustration be put on the fans who are saying those kind of things, right? I mean, I get that there's always new fans, and that's what's great about bringing the sport along. And I know that when I introduce Rashad at the desk and I say future Hall of Famer, I'm sure there's some guy out there in his type like, future Hall of Famer? This guy just lost a bunch of fights, and they don't get it. So I know I completely agree with you that people should be better educated and understand who he is, truly
right.
who he is. But I think that part of that, yeah, is just that our fans are fickle and they love to call for, you know, retirements and stuff like that. I mean, it's a problem.
It's a big problem. And that doesn't take away anything from what I plan on doing there. You know what I mean? None of that stuff, you know, that I talk about has anything to do with what I plan on doing. Like, and the Rashad that I train for is the dangerous one, the one that's cornered and has nothing to lose, that in my eyes is the most dangerous version he's ever been. Yeah. Maybe he's not the youngest. He's probably not the fastest he's ever been. He's probably not the most technical he's ever been, because as he ages, you lose some of that stuff. And I don't think he's lost much of a step, maybe a little bit. I think that his struggles are mostly mental. I don't think that physically he's lost a whole lot. I think his confidence is shook, and that makes him dangerous. Yeah. You know, he feels like he has nothing to lose. That makes him really goddamn dangerous. Yeah. Well, and he's a monster wrestler with power in his hand. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what everybody else is seeing, because I see my most dangerous opponent to date. Yeah. You know, like, so I don't know, but it's so the fan part of it is, you know, and even the media, you know, like, you know, you get guys that, you know, tweet you, and it's like whatever main media outlet it is, and it's like, oh, what is Rashad doing in there? Like, Jesus Christ, you're killing me here.
You never hear that from me.
Never. That, you know, I don't want Rashad to think that I'm trying to start some trash talking battle, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, like, this isn't the Rashad Evans that I know, you know, that I grew up watching. I don't know him, I guess, but, you know, that doesn't change what's going to happen on June 9th, but definitely frustrating for sure.
I get that. And here's the thing, though, Anthony, lucky for you, you're going to face a Rashad Evans who is coming back to 205 pounds, who is not depleting his body as much, who is going to be a lot more himself, if we can put that. Because obviously the weight cut has a big part of it. You're not a small guy anyway, so I'm sure you felt that when you used to cut down. So that does add a little bit of an element, a new wrinkle to the matchup. So for you, how are you going to use this weight that you get as well to your advantage?
I think I've already used it through training camp. I've never felt this good through the entire camp. At this point of training camp, or like this point back, another, you know, probably 2 weeks from, like 2 weeks ago, I would have been feeling like shit and just completely in the gutter, because I'm already trying to get down to weight. Yeah. And it's really nice to be able to focus on getting better and not just getting smaller. All the training is geared on skill building and being well conditioned, and not so much focused on getting skinny. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm a lot faster. I feel like I've gotten a lot stronger, and I just feel like I've gotten a whole lot better, because I don't have to worry about the weight cut. I'm not waking up and, you know, planning my whole week on how much I weigh. Right. You know, it's nice to go in. Sometimes it's okay to go into a training session and spend an hour with Mark just working on getting better, and not being like, okay, well, now I got to spend an hour and a half on the treadmill or whatever it is to try to get, you know, to burn those calories. So I'm well fueled and I'm well fed, and I just feel really, really good. And it's not, you know, I have never been able to focus this long on an opponent or a fight, because the whole training camp is about getting on weight. So that's the only thing I can think about. I can't ever get my mind past making weight until I make the weight. So I spend 6 weeks focused on the weight cut and dreading it, and then 30 hours excited for the fight. Well, now I've spent 10 weeks excited for the fight and really focused on that part of it. So I think that's my advantage for sure.
Cool. You know, you should turn a little. The sun is setting on you, and the one side of you is getting a little bit darker. Yeah. Yeah, that's a, well, wait, no, you want the sun in front of you, not behind you. You're going to get darker with it behind you.
Let's go. There we go.
There you go. That's better. Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting too perfect. With the, although it was kind of a cool effect, you know what I mean? It kind of made you look like badass and evil for a bit. But, you know, with the weight cut situation now, there's a lot going on. And I don't know if you saw the video of Darren cutting weight. But just in general, obviously, a lot of us, we know what you go through. We know it can be incredibly difficult sometimes. But it's also part of your job, right? So that said, do you think you would prefer to stay at 205 now then? Or, you know, will you try to go back and forth? Like, just follow the opportunity? What do you think you'll do that's better for you and your body and the longevity of your career?
I'll definitely never do 185 pounds again. No. Darren Till's video looked like every Friday night of every fight I've had the last 3 years. You know, like, and it's just, and that's ultimately why I moved up. I just can't do it anymore, and I can't do it and compete at the highest level. I just can't. And I think that's probably the more surprising part of the Darren Till video is that everyone's so shocked by that. You know, like, that's most guys I know.
I was gonna say business as usual. I mean, I don't want to see it on anybody, but
right. I mean, I didn't see anything that was out of the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a normal weight cut for a lot of people, and some guys have it even worse than that.
Right.
So, you know, we talked about losing his vision and, you know, stuff like that. Like, it's happened to me my last 3. You know, like, you just can't focus. You can't, like, your eyes just don't work right. Like, you don't, it's not, I didn't ever go, like, completely black, but, like, my eyes didn't focus and I couldn't pay attention. You know, my ears started popping to where my own voice would echo in my head.
Oh, my God. And
I couldn't even continue a conversation with people. Like, I could do one sentence at a time.
Yeah.
But I would say it, and then it would echo in my head at the same time they were replying. And like, I just couldn't even follow the conversation.
Right.
So when I was in Brazil, that was it for me. I was like, I just can't do this shit anymore.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, we literally had a media lunch with RDA earlier today, and he talked about the fact that, like, he passed out before the fight with Eddie Alvarez and stuff, like, just passed out for 3 minutes and stuff like that. And, you know, during the weight cut, it was terrible. And yeah, same thing. He's like, I can't do this anymore, and I can't enjoy my life, and I can't, it's not worth it at the end of the day for him. It was like, it just got to be way too much.
Well, that's a big part of it is the quality of life.
Yeah.
You know, you're just miserable, and your family suffers, and your, you know, your relationships suffer, your friendships, it's just everything suffers. And I'm only 29. I got 3 kids. I don't need to be losing my life over a fight. You know what I mean?
No.
It's just not worth it. You know, like, if the weight ever becomes a problem, I'll just get better. You know what I mean? It's not even about, you know, a lot of people ask if I'm going to put on more weight and get bigger, and like, no, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. Like, I've never been manhandled in my whole life. So until that happens, I'm okay till now. You know, until that happens, we'll figure it out from there. But, you know, I'm good with it where it's at. Well,
to be honest, and I'm absolutely zero disrespect to the weight class, but there is an easier path to the title at 205 pounds. You know what I mean? It's less crowded. You have somebody like DC is going to be retiring soon, and even if, you know, let's say he beats Stipe, you know, who knows if he would fight at heavyweight or what. Right. You know, somebody like Luke Rockhold maybe moving up there, who would obviously be a real challenge. But you know, there's more room to move, it seems like, in 205. So career move wise, anyway, it seems like not a terrible decision. Right.
Well, and it's, you know, I get that question. Like, a lot of people ask, is that the only reason I moved? I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, I don't think the 205 is any easier, but it's definitely less crowded.
Right.
You get a whole lot further with a win. I think that as far as the competition goes, the top 10 at 205 and the top 10 at 85 are pretty comparable. I don't think that either is easier, but a win will definitely move you a whole lot further in the rankings, get you a lot closer. So it's definitely less crowded, and that's for sure.
Right. So if you get past Rashad, that, I mean, obviously, regardless of how some fans may perceive him, that's the biggest win of your career. Yeah, I mean, Hector was probably before that. That was probably, I mean, that's the biggest marquee name, right? So you were probably able to eat out free dinners on the Hector Lombard win for a while, huh?
Yeah, I did all right after that one.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, even though it could be different, but you know, if you are able to get past Rashad, what would that mean to you?
That would mean everything to me. For me personally, just as an accomplishment, that would mean a lot to me. That's kind of what's been driving me is, you know, that's I've been chasing him for 10 years, you know, like that position, you know, and that's the motivation I got. And you kind of mentioned that in your guys' interview, how like Rashad is the biggest fight of my life, and he's kind of just whatever, you know. And so like that's how it is though, and I can't deny that. I've trained much harder and I'm much more focused for this one because of who he is, and I can't lie about that. Professionally, that it means a lot too. You know, I'm really, really, really pining for this main event spot in Lincoln. You know, the arena is like 30 minutes from my house, so it's, you know, and it's 2 blocks away from where I made my pro debut almost 10 years ago. So that's a real cool. That'd be a real cool thing for me. So, but I need to dominate Rashad for that to happen. So obviously I'm not looking past Rashad, but that's been a motivation. Like the more I can dominate him, the better my chances of fighting in Lincoln are.
Right. And for that fight in Lincoln, do you have an ideal opponent in mind that, you know, if you get on the mic, that you'll be able to name?
You know, I've kind of, you know, I haven't paid too much attention to it. You know, I know that Villante and Sam Alvey are fighting tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
So, I really have always liked the Sam Alvey fight.
Yeah.
And I really like Sam Alvey. He's just a cool dude.
He's a good dude.
And, you know, the Villante thing would be kind of weird because we kind of have that connection with Stipe and you know, Kamosi goes out there and trains with him. So
John's mental, and I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, I would fight Villante for sure, but it'd be one of those fights you wouldn't necessarily enjoy all the way, but they're, you know, if Villante wins, you know, he moves up the rankings, and if Sam Alvey wins, then he's probably going to be ranked, and those are two guys that are pretty easily probably could potentially get that you could actually put in a main event. Yeah. So I mean, as much as I like both those guys, it's all business, and someone's got to get to a title. So
yeah. Well, the cool thing with Villante's like always a fun fight, right? So you in the middle of it might not enjoy punching your friend. All of us though, like sitting there with popcorn, like that dude's. I love watching him fight, and literally, like we were doing an interview with Stipe for Tough Talk or something, and John comes by and like moons us on the Skype and stuff like that. Like the guy he's crazy.
He is.
But yeah, he always delivers.
The first time my fiance ever met Villante, we were at the retreat. Yeah. And he's just, you know, typical Villante, hammered drunk, you know. And she's like 8 months pregnant with with the baby now that we have. Right. And she's sitting in a chair and she's real uncomfortable. And Villante runs up behind her, grabs on the back of her chair and starts shooting people with a squirt gun over her shoulder. She's never met this dude in her whole entire life. Like, it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then he said, "Oh, I'm John."
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
And just one of the funniest Villante stories ever. But, you know, I would consider me and Villante friends. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I think we both know that that's an exciting fight. And I don't think there'd be too many hard feelings about it.
Nice. It is a business. You're not in it for the friends, right? Well, listen, Anthony, it's really great to get to know you. I haven't never spoken with you before, so I'm glad that we had this chance.
For sure,
and I'm glad I understand now what you're talking about with the Rashad thing. Right. So I get it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. I think it's going to be a great fight.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, and I'm sorry for being late. Leave it up to me to keep you waiting.
And that Nebraska traffic.
Right. I'm telling you, it was real bad for a little while. It was real bad. Mark Montoya would be really disappointed in me right now for being late. It's okay. So, well, I appreciate the time, Karyn, for real.
All right, Anthony. You have a good one. Safe travels to Chicago, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye.